It's interesting. In the morning, Dusty and I have had this conversation. Dusty agrees with you, bud. So we've heard Billy Napier say their plan is to play both, right?
Yep. Yes.
See, I think the easy way to approach this is you go out there with Lagway because sure, he may not be able to process, but behind that offensive line, nobody might have, like, if it's the same way it was against the Gators, no one's going to have time to process. So you go with the guy who can run around, escape trouble, and just make some plays, just be a playmaker, which isn't a great strategy going in. I think we can all agree. But if you go with Lagway, and let's say you do build a system where he's got some easier throws, you max protect, you try to give him some stuff that's a little bit simpler to read, and it works, I do think he gives you the best chance to win that way. If he struggles, you can bench him easily and just go to Mertz and just say, oh, that was part of the plan. Like, yeah, DJ struggled. We were going to play them both anyway, so you don't really hurt Lagway's confidence, and then you can go back to him again. I don't know. It is a tricky dynamic that probably determines Napier's fate, which already feels sealed. But if he handles this the right way and plays his cards right, maybe it does play him way. Because I don't think it's that crazy to think they could win.
I mean, we're probably going to know on Billy by
Sunday,
October 19th.
I was going to say Sunday.
They probably need to be 5-2.
Let's do the is he cooked on Saturday night show just based off the result of the third game of the season? But I mean, I don't know.
So, A&M is a 4-point game,
right?
Because A&M's offense looks like it might be trash. The race here is what, to 21? If you throw one up and it's just like an easy score for A&M, that might be your loss right there. I think if he wants to save his job, he's got to be 5-2 after the Kentucky game. So to refresh, they're 1-1 right now. A&M this weekend at Mississippi State, which looks like it doesn't have SEC quality players on the lines of scrimmage right now because they got bullied by Arizona State. That was shocking. UCF at home, at Tennessee, that's a loss. Host Kentucky, which looks like a dumpster fire.
Right.
If you don't go 4-3 against that, I do think he gets fired. So, I mean, can you afford to screw around with the true freshman against Elko's defense? That's why I would play Mertz here. Rotate Lagway and some.
I think you've got two great options. And wow, Billy Napier should feel good about both of them because no matter what you choose, things are going to go great. I
do think he's got two good options. All things considered, there are quarterback situations that are worse.
There are, for sure.
God, yeah.
I just don't sit there and look at Graham Mertz and say that's the guy who's going to save me because he's not.
Yeah.
And I don't think quarterback is their biggest issue. I think there's a lot of problems on that team right now, but obviously quarterback, if you have the right one, can help gloss over a lot of other issues. So I don't know, if you're trying to save your job, don't you kind of want to sell some hope for the future? So is that not where Lagway would be the better option? Because at least if things aren't going great and your team is still not very good, but Lagway's showing flashes, you can sell, well, listen, this is going to be our guy next year. It's going to be a much better season. The schedule won't be as difficult, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if you're playing Mertz and you're having the same results, you still have no idea about Lagway, and Mertz is gone. So it's not like you have anything to sell about 2025. So there is a lot that I think goes into the decision that has just a lot more to do with, can we beat Texas A&M on Saturday? So I'm thrilled that I'm not the one who has to make the decision because I really don't think there's a clear answer on either side.
Is that one of these games that's just unappealing aesthetically yet carries great significance?
That's week 3.
Yeah,
this one too.
So the game is going to be in Gainesville, right? In front of those fans. And if you lose again, just like you lost at home to Miami, I don't know. It ain't going to be great because our inside source from the swamp, the one of the Florida persuasion, was saying that the fire Billy Napier chants were coming down from the stands in that Miami game. If they can't do anything, I mean, that is one of the things about these great cathedrals of college football is that when it turns, it can turn like toxic, and it catches on sort of throughout the sections, and that's something that I've definitely got my eyes on.
Also, if he starts Graham Mertz the first 3 and out, you're getting DJ chants from the crowd. I feel bad for Mertz if he is it's got to be good early, or it's it's going to be long. And then, like, let's say he rolls out with Mertz and they fall behind 14-3, and then he goes to DJ and DJ plays well. Then you might have cost him a game. I don't know. There are so many different dynamics to this decision. I don't know what he should do. I probably would lean towards Lagway, but I totally would understand if he went with Mertz. Like, I'm fascinated by the whole thing.
I think the best solution is to win.
Hey, listen, but it is both low-hanging fruit and legitimately interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Coach on a hot seat with the quarterback decision to make heading into a big conference game, but I find myself fascinated by it. I think it was either on Saturday or Monday. I'm pretty sure that we came out here and gave a review or a more clear assessment of all of the things that went wrong for Auburn in the loss to Cal. Which of course sparked one of the great meme campaigns of the season. Peyton Thorne is going to be the starter. Hugh Freeze says the package will be smaller. We're not going to ask as much from him. We don't need to linger on this, but is there another option that even looks attractive in that quarterback room? I mean, are you just riding with Peyton Thorne? Because the lines of scrimmage on both sides are not impressive. Overall, as entire groups, they are not getting positive grades from me in the trenches. And so the issues seem far more widespread, but we have also never been a Peyton Thorne is your savior podcast. So what do we do here? Hugh Freeze announcing that he's going to stick with Peyton Thorne as QB1.
The Predator meme, Hugh Freeze, Tom Fornelli on a date. I promise you the package will be small. I don't think there's anything revelatory here. I think we've discussed it. Bud was talking about it all off season. Auburn's on 2025. Whatever happens in this season, they will be happy about it. Now, I don't think losing to Cal at home was part of the plan, but as I said on Saturday night's reaction show, I don't really think that was that large of an upset because I don't really think there's much of a difference between where Auburn is right now and where Cal is as a football team. But Peyton Thorne they're going to stick with Peyton Thorne because what is the other option? They had all the time in the world to go find a replacement or somebody better. They never did. They were sticking with Peyton Thorne all offseason, despite everybody saying, how is this team not in the portal looking for a quarterback? And it's because they're saving all that money for next year when they're going to make a push.
100%.
It's a little different, right? And I'm curious to know what Bud thinks the quarterbacks behind him. Lagway, top player in the country. It's appealing. You see the raw potential. The young quarterbacks they have behind him, are they any good? I see 3-star and 4-star. I'm like, all right. No.
I don't think that they are ready to be difference makers. Right. So, look, Auburn got an absolute gift from the scheduling gods here for a team that needs one right now. New Mexico comes to town. That's my worst rated defense in the country, and by a lot. I don't know if anybody here would disagree, but I mean, they're really exceptionally bad on defense. So Auburn's going to score points this weekend, regardless of who plays quarterback. Maybe you want to throw Hank Brown in there a little bit. I was never a big Walker White guy as a recruit. I don't know that he's the Auburn savior, but it's still way too early to tell. I definitely don't think he is ready to play in the SEC this year. The step up in competition for him is pretty huge. Lagway is just such a physical freak and a bright kid that maybe he can get it. But I don't think White is that right now. I assume they'll flip Deuce Knight, so eventually down the line, there's some real high upside there. But I don't think Auburn's 2025 quarterback is on the roster right now. I have always been told by my Auburn people who are pretty good sources that they will be big game hunting in the portal for a quarterback for the 2025 season. But what's the downside to playing Hank Brown a little bit? I mean, it's New Mexico. I guess the one message it sends is, and Freeze talked about this on whatever show he was doing, I was listening to, or on Twitter clips. It wasn't just Peyton Thorne.
Right.
The O-line played like crap. The receivers didn't complete some of their routes. The receiver blocking effort was piss poor. There were a lot of problems there with Auburn. But Auburn does need to make a bowl game. They can be all in for 2025 all they want. But if I'm LSU or I'm Alabama and Hugh Freeze misses a bowl game after how they finished last year, I am negative recruiting the hell out of these results. The pitch is basically this. Hugh Freeze is cooked. He's not that guy that he was at Ole Miss. I know Auburn's got a bag, but this guy can't coach anymore. If they miss a bowl, that's coming for Auburn on the recruiting trail. and the results would be hard to argue with. So they do need to get this figured out at least to make a damn bowl. But you get New Mexico, and then you get Auburn and Jordan Hare, and you get Oklahoma, which looks like a disaster right now in Jordan Hare. So Auburn, Oklahoma will probably be a game to determine who goes bowling and who misses a bowl. Take a look at Oklahoma's schedule. Tell me I'm wrong about that.
Hey, welcome to the new look SEC, boys. I mean, this is different. All right, one more thing before we hit a break and jump into big game breakdown. We still don't have any kind of like confirmation here on our can we get a Riley Leonard smoke fire? What's our expectation here?
Does it matter?
Well, explain it further. Why do you say that?
Would your opinion on this game change if they went from injured Riley Leonard, who can't or won't run, to Steve Angeli?
I'm not ready to say can't or won't run without making like further assumptions on exactly like the nature of the injury, right? Because here's what we haven't heard. We haven't heard
what we saw on Saturday. Like they were not running him. He was clearly banged up.
Because we haven't heard anybody else come out and say he's fine, right? You know, we've got the loose reports saying that he's got a little bit of a shoulder issue. We've got no comments in terms of his actual status for Purdue Notre Dame, which of course is going to be the 3:30 CBS game. But no one's also come out and said he's not going to play either.
Is it the posterior labrum? Is that? I mean, that's what I'm seeing as reports. Is that confirmed or is that?
No, that's the thing is we haven't had anyone confirm it, but we haven't had anyone say that the reports are false either, which leads me to believe that there are people who are close to the program who've just been told you can't report it yet. And then that will come later.
I think that's one where he could, it's left arm, sling it up, put the, big old, kind of lockdown thing where you can still, run, you can still play the game. And then it becomes a lot of a pain tolerance issue. Like, all right, we're going to protect it from getting worse, but you got to wear this massive thing. And then it's like, just be one thing if you're a different position, but even throwing, the uncomfortable nature of that makes me wonder, like, man, is that going to, like, somebody who's already struggling to throw the football and, what impact it does. There's a lot of really interesting decisions for coaches to make on quarterbacks this week. Like, what do you do? And especially with somebody you're riding your hopes of the season on, because if it is this posterior labrum, and you might have to wear that for the rest of the season and just get used to it. Like, I don't think it's just healing up on its own. It's just like, it's going to be nagging all year, and maybe you take care of it after the season.
So you said you had this injury, right?
No, but I played with guys and I talked to a couple about it. And it's definitely, it's an
shoulder
issue.
Injuries suck in general, period.
Right.
It's like, especially if you're a quarterback. If your job is throwing anything, a shoulder injury sucks.
Yeah, I had posterior labrum, left shoulder as well, but I wasn't trying to play quarterback and get,
And you had the surgery?
Yeah.
So how long did you have it before the surgery? Like, did you have life without it? Did you play golf? Did you do softball? Did you do anything active with it?
Definitely couldn't play softball. Swing speed totally gone. As far as like that, you could play some golf, just not well. Like it was annoying. But that's like, there's different levels of tear, right? There's like a partial tear. There's like a fray. Like if you just completely tear it, that does kind of suck. But I think it depends on what position you play. Like, does it impact his ability to rotate?
Right.
Right now, that's not a really rotation, but it's more of like the pull down, right? I don't know.
Think about a ball carrier when he does run. You want to secure it with this one, and then your kind of natural tendency is to keep the ball away from the defender and lean in with your shoulder to brace for contact. That makes it really uncomfortable to try to, all right, this is my most painful thing I'm dealing with. I'm going to lead with that. I don't know. The panic meter's starting to rise for the Irish.
I did mention on the show yesterday, though, that matchup-wise, I do wonder if this would, if you have any questions about Leonard, this might be a good game for Angeli to start anyway, simply because if you're that confident in what you have at receiver, can Riley Leonard take as much advantage of that against a Purdue secondary that I think, again, they play a whole lot of man coverage, and I don't think they have incredible defensive backs there for the most part. And it's something I think you can take advantage of with the right passing attack. So if you have any questions about Leonard, you might just be better off starting Angeli anyway.
Yeah.
What if he balls out?
That's great.
Yeah,
the worst. If the worst possible is the worst case scenario that you have a good quarterback, like good.
is the worst case scenario that your passing attack takes a huge jump forward that people have been looking for. But to your point, Tom,
You're
I mean, am I wrong that there's just sort of like a physical advantage that some of those Notre Dame wide receivers are going to have if they're left in single coverage against some of Purdue's defensive backs?
I think, you have to. I give Mike Denbrock the benefit of the doubt, seeing what he was able to do with LSU last year. Now, I don't think Notre Dame has Neighbors and Brian Thomas, but I think that scheme-wise, against a defense that is very aggressive and plays a lot of man on the back end, it is very, very dependent on their pass rush getting home. You can take advantage of that if your receivers are as good as they seem to think they are.
Leonard played the game as far as like bad decisions that people think Peyton Thorne played on Saturday. He didn't have the interception numbers, but I think he was worse as far as throwing the football, pulling the trigger, accuracy, all that. I mean, granted,
Riley Leonard
makes sense.
Riley Leonard sitting in the pocket and throwing is not what you want out of Riley Leonard, period. It's just not his strength.
That's why we were all like, where the hell is this draft stuff like coming from? In the offseason? Remember, like we were like,
yeah,
I don't get this, bro. Like he's like a college guy who runs around really well. He's not a thrower.
And Tom, I think Michael would prefer if you called it the all caps Mike Denbrock. Yeah, offense.
Michael's still not back today. Don't worry about him.
Wasn't he back Monday?
No, he was not here on Monday.
No.
Ryan came back though, so at least one of the Notre Dame fans returned.
Yeah, it's all caps Mike Denbrock offense. If you call it Notre Dame, it's the all caps Mike Denbrock offense. Yeah, that's what you got to believe in.
Left with clovers. You got to have clovers.
With the clover emoji as well.
I thought we had a comment from Mike on not the live chat, but like on a post game video. Maybe he was busy. I thought I saw that because they're very distinctive. We got a lot of
clown emojis and
a lot of emojis.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.